Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Shahin Monjezi here. And today I want to speak about a few experiences that I've been having and some sort of reoccurring things that have been popping up in my life as of late, and sort of the major lessons that I've been learning, sort of the values that I have been refining, asking myself the question, what is life really about? And what are the things that actually matter in life? And I think that's a question that we should all be asking ourselves every day, having that sort of philosopher's mindset of inquiry, of why am I here? What am I doing? Why am I living this life? And what actually matters at the end of the day? Because it's this very strange scenario that we find ourselves in, right? We're born into this life, and the only thing that was guaranteed when we were born into this life was that we are going to die. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. So we're found in this situation where we have birth and there's death, and in between that we have a time frame, right? We have something that we are going to do in between those two parameters of birth and death. And it's really up to us to determine how we want to spend our lives, how we want to spend our time. It's up to us to determine what we want to focus on, really. So yesterday was a very pivotal, eye-opening day for me because yesterday, for those of you that don't know, was the day. It was the last day of Ramadan. Well, excuse me, it wasn't the last day of Ramadan. It was Eid, which is the day after the last day of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan for the Muslims. And on the day of Eid, all the Muslims come together. They usually do a prayer together at the mosque, and then the day is preceded by everyone going to their friend's house and eating and celebrating and enjoying companionship and friendship. And it's a day that's filled with a lot of laughter, a lot of friendship, and ultimately it's a day that is what life's about, in my opinion. And that's really what I took from yesterday. I said, I was sitting there, and in the we celebrated at a community center up in Diamond Bar, California, with a group called MIFNA, which stands for the Malaysian Islamic Foundation of North America. And my mother has been a part of this association, this foundation, for as long as I remember, since I was a kid. And I'd been going to and attending these events since I was a kid. So since I was a kid, there are faces and people and families that I have known since now, the present, which is like from like 20 years, basically, 20 years or more. These people, family, friends that I've known for this long. And it's a strange thing too, because I used to be the kid, right? I used to be the kid running around at these events, at these community gatherings. And yesterday when I attended this event, I was looking out and I saw all these new kids who I've never seen before coming around and running around. And I always get very sentimental when I see that, because it's always just a reminder to me that life goes on, and there's new life always coming and filling those that I've passed, because there's also people that used to be at these events that are not there anymore. Older people who have passed on, or they've moved out of the country, or they no longer go to these events, but they used to be sort of main people in the community. So I always get very sentimental when I see the changing of faces and the newer generation come in, because it's a reminder that time's passing, and but life still is going on. So yesterday um, was the first Eid celebration that I did with this group, Mifna, in many years. I think it might have been the last time I went to one of these was like 5 years ago. And because for whatever reason I was traveling, or I was, working on a job on this day, or whatever, for the past 5 years I hadn't showed up to one of these events. And at the same time, there was also this sort of fear that I had, which was, having other people ask me that question, which is, what are you up to nowadays? Right. I think that's the question that every person in their mid 20s that is not clear on what they want to be doing with their lives is afraid to be asked by family, friends. That question of, what are you up to nowadays, or what are you doing? And you feel bad when you don't have a clear sort of answer for those people, that, such as, oh, I'm working in accounting now, or, oh, I'm doing software engineering now. I've been working for this company for a couple years, right? But, and that's definitely an insecurity on my part. That's definitely an insecurity on my part, because I have basically, for the past five, let me see, I'm 27 now. I graduated when I was 22. So right after college, I got a job when I was 22 in accounting. I worked that job for a whole 6 to 7 months before I quit, because I had this love and passion for making music. And I realized that my music wouldn't go anywhere if I was working a full-time accounting job for that startup company, which would require me to work 80 hours a week. So I quit that job. And after that, I started making more music, but I needed money, and the music wasn't making me any money. So I started working at my dad's car dealership selling cars. And I was always very embarrassed about that, because, I went to college, and to work at my dad's car dealership selling cars, like, why, I didn't need to go to college, so it was always just kind of shameful thing on my part. I always felt like I'm very sad, not sad, but embarrassed that, like, I'm just at my dad's used car dealership selling cars, and I went to college. I have a college degree. So after that, I started working with my sister, who works in production. She works on commercials as a production coordinator or supervisor. So she started getting me jobs, which were jobs that I'd basically get freelance on a contract basis, and I'd work on a commercial for 1 week or 2 weeks, and I would work on set as a production assistant. And I was doing that for a couple years. And it wasn't really what I wanted to do, but it paid well, and I was able to sort of accept the jobs that I wanted to accept. And I only needed to work a couple weeks out of the month in order to pay my bills. So I was like, this is better. And then I can work on my music on when I'm not working. And throughout this entire time, I was always very annoyed when people ask me, like, what am I up to nowadays? Because what I was doing was not what I wanted to be doing. What I wanted to be doing was playing music and making money from playing music. I wanted to be recording music. I wanted to be performing music. And that's it. I just wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to be making a full-time income from being an artist. But up to that, throughout that point, I was not. And I think a large part of the reason why I hadn't reached that place in my life was because A, it takes time to do that. But the reason that it was taking a long time for me to do that is because I didn't commit 100% to becoming a full-time artist. And the hard truth for most artists that became successful is that they sacrificed everything for their art. They sacrificed everything for their art. If you look at any sort of artist that became great, the Picasso, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Prince, whomever that really made it big on a grand scale, Madonna, whatever. These people put all of their life force and their energy and their thinking and all of that into their art and into becoming sort of this thing that's bigger than life. None of them really made it big by having one foot into working a full-time job and another foot into, okay, I'm going to make my art after my full-time job. So I always had that sense of, I don't want to be a loser in the eyes of society, but this is this thing that I want to do, which is to make art and to make music. And this is sort of the struggle that I had dealt with, and I still continue to deal with in my 20s. And of course, I know about this thing called manifestation, and I've manifested things in the past. So now if you haven't watched my other manifestation success videos on my channel, go ahead and watch those, because those are all true stories where I've manifested living in other countries and money and seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time and all these different things. But I understand that it takes time to manifest a career as an artist, and there is an early stage of a struggle in terms of giving up those things that get in the way of you making your art. So going back to yesterday, I tell you all this because that was one of the things that kept me from going to these functions. Is that I just never wanted to have to deal with these family friends who are asking me, what are you doing with your life right now? What are you doing? And as of recently, for those of you who are not aware, I actually quit my job last year, and me and my two friends, we hit the road, and I toured the country for 4 months with my band, with my music group. And we didn't necessarily come out positive on the tour, but we did book shows, and we did get paid shows, and we did build followers, and we did get positive reception in every city that we played at, and we made lifelong connections in every city that we played at. And it was an amazing time that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And we came back to Los Angeles, and it wasn't like we were this big, we blew up on this tour or anything. We became big. The people back home that we knew, friends and family, they were excited to see us back home. But it's not like we had this big following that we were making a full-time income from making music or anything like that. So, I had to move back in with my parents. And that's probably why you see Like, this is the same kind of setup that I've had in my early videos, like 2 or 3 years ago when I was living with my parents. I'm back in the room, and it's been one of those things that's like that voice of self-doubt really comes back into your mind of like, here you are at 27 years old and you're back at your parents' house and you don't have a sort of real job, and all those things that go along with that voice. And maybe you should go get a real job and just forget this music thing and just build a life and go get married. And but on the deepest level, it's like, that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? It's not what I want to do. So, and I know that if I pursued that other life of just, okay, screw it, I'll just go get a job and go date and just meet someone and get my own place, and that's it. I know I won't be happy in the long terms, because that's just proof to myself that I don't believe in myself and my craft and my art. So anyway, going back to yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I went to this Eid celebration in a long time. And it was just so refreshing to see everybody again. I mean, a lot of the people that used to be at these events, they weren't there, but there was still some people that, I've known for the past 20 years who were there. And it was just so nice to all see them there and to celebrate with them. I went to 3 people's houses after the morning event in Diamond Bar. It was at a community center. Then, we went to different people's houses and we had food. They had an open house. And it was just so refreshing just to see people and to hug them and to shake their hands and to catch up with them, and just to be with them and to laugh with them. And that's really, it opened my heart. Yesterday really opened my heart a lot, because it showed me that life is about friendship. Life is about family. Life is about community. I often ask myself that question a lot. So, I ask myself, why are we here? Why am I living this life? Why did God decide to create human beings, and not just one human being, but many human beings? And I always remember listening to Neville Goddard's lectures on what this world was created for. And Neville Goddard would always say that this world was created for the appeasement of loneliness. This world is created to get rid of loneliness. Meaning we created this world so that we can be together and we can enjoy each other's company, and we can have family, and we can have friendship, and we can have relationships with one another, and ultimately we can love one another and we can laugh with one another. And I think laughter is really what life is about. I was reading something my uncle sent me yesterday. He sent in a group chat that we have with his family, and it was something that Charlie Chaplin said before he died. And Charlie Chaplin said that the most wasted day of your life is the day that you do not laugh. And that really struck a nerve with me. It really landed with me when I read that. And I was also listening to a David Cho podcast. David Cho, for those of you who don't know who David Cho is, he's an artist that got famous because he painted the headquarter office of Facebook in 2005 when they just were getting started. And instead of accepting payment for his work, his office Sean Parker, one of the guys who was like the co-founders of Facebook, offered David Cho stock in Facebook instead of paying him the cash fee. So David Cho said, okay, I'll take the stock, whatever. And 6 to 7 years later, Facebook went public in 2012 or 2013. And David Cho found out that his stock was worth $200 million. So he never had to worry about money again. And David Cho would have these stories about how he would just, the money wouldn't really do anything for him. He would say, like, the money's just this abstract amount. It's just this abstract concept to him, $200 million. So he had a lot of time where he just felt depressed, and he said whenever he'd feel depressed, he'd go to Africa to find himself, because he would say, like, Africa would put things into perspective for him, right? Of all the things that he takes for granted. But he spent some time with the Hadza people of Tanzania, who are these indigenous people that have been living their way of life for, people don't even know how long it's been, 50 million years or something like that. They've just been living a hunter-gatherer lifestyle in the middle of the Tanzanian rainforest. And he said that he went to live with the Hadza people for a couple months. And he said that their lives were just very simple. They'd wake up in the morning and they'd plan out their day to go hunting. They'd get prepped up, they'd go hunting. The men would go out and they'd go for a day of hunting and see what they could catch. And the women would stay back with the children, and they'd just gather fruits, vegetation, and take care of the kids. And at the end of the day, the men would come back, hopefully with something that they hunted, and then they'd start prepping dinner, and then they'd make their dinner, they'd eat, and that was it. They'd start over again, and that's their lives. That's the lives that the Hadza people have been living for who knows how long. So David Cho, he said that the time that he spent with the Hadza people, from the morning to the nighttime, all the people in the tribe were just constantly joking. The first thing that they would do when they woke up was someone would, let out a fart. Everyone would start giggling. Everyone would start laughing. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't have phones. They don't have technology or anything like that. So they can't watch TV. They don't watch social media. They have to be each other's entertainment. They have to entertain one another. So he said prevalent throughout the whole day, from when they wake up to when they're out hunting, they're just constantly joking. They're constantly joking with one another, and they're just constantly laughing. And I think that in its essence is the purpose of life. Laughter, companionship, friendship, family, community, togetherness. And that's what I got yesterday, going to that Eid celebration, going to other people's seeing people that I haven't seen in so long, and just laughing. It brought so much joy to my life. And sort of all this other stuff that I was talking about earlier in the video, being in my 20s and not knowing what I'm doing, and I'm not where I want to be yet, all of that bullshit just gone in the presence of the people that I was scared to face, because I didn't want them to look at me as a loser living at their mom and dad's house. All of that gone when I found that they were just happy to see me, and that we could just share laughs. We could share food together. We could share laughs together. That's what life's about. Laughter, friendship, community. And I see all these people, including myself, who are just on this constant hamster wheel, this rat race, to prove themselves to other people that they are something, right? Someone says something to you, oh, you can never be a musician. That's too hard. And then you go on this quest to prove those other people wrong. Oh, I'll show them. I'll show them. They said I couldn't be a musician. I couldn't make a full-time income. I'll show them. And then you know what happens? You take life so fucking serious. You take life so fucking serious in this quest to become a musician. You work so hard. You cut off all your relationships with everyone. And then you finally make it as a musician. And then you're there at the top. You're making a full-time income as a musician. And then you look around and you look back at all the days that you fucking wasted because you didn't laugh and you didn't have any friends. Now, I'm not saying that we have to, not pursue our dreams. But what I'm saying is you don't have to pursue your dreams at the expense of not having friends and not valuing your family and not valuing your relationships. There's another interview that I was watching. It was an interview of Gabor Mate, and he said that whenever he reads the book Winnie the Pooh, at the end of the book he always cries. And he said that at the end of the book, The Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, it's this book about this boy named Christopher Robin playing with his stuffed animals in the Enchanted Forest, which we don't know if that's just this boy's imagination, which it probably is. But it's this book about this boy Christopher Robin playing in the Enchanted Forest with his stuffed animals. And at the end of the book, Christopher Robin says to Winnie the Pooh, I'm not going to be able to see you guys that much anymore because I'm going to go to school and I'm going to grow up and I'm, going to become a man. So we're not going to be able to play with one another anymore as much as we did. And in this interview, Gabor Mate says, that's what we all do, right? When we're kids, life is so natural for us, right? We naturally gravitate towards playing with friends. Not all of us, but most of us. We understand that life's about playing. We understand that life's about companionship. We understand that life's about laughter. But then when we reach a certain age, we forget. And we say, then we start taking life seriously. We got to go to school. We got to get good grades. We got to get a good job. And everything sort of becomes serious. And everything sort of becomes this, we got to validate ourselves to other people in society. And that's not what life's about. Life's about what Neville Goddard said. This world was created for the appeasement of loneliness. In other words, this world is created so we can enjoy each other's company, so that we can laugh, that we can love, that we can create, and we can collaborate together and enjoy each other. We can enjoy one another. This world is created for us to love one another. And I think the world has forgotten that. So that's why I created this video. Yesterday was it was just such an eye-opening day that opened my heart as well. Because I've been taking life so serious, trying to make this music thing work. And I'm continuing with the music, and I'm building my music catalog. I'm recording music, and I'm planning the show coming up. Within the next couple months, we're gonna play a big show at a venue. But it's just that constant reminder that anything that you want to do in your life, if you have these dreams and these aspirations, do it with other people. And remember what Charlie Chaplin said: the most wasted day of your life is the day that you don't laugh. So make this the highest value in your life. Sharing laughter among you and your friends, among you and your family. Because that's what life's about. And if you're not doing that, you're not fulfilling the purpose of what this world was created for, which is the appeasement of loneliness. You know, we're living in such a lonely world. People feel so isolated and desolate, and you know, they just lose themselves in social media and their phones, and we no longer have this world of connection. I think that's completely anti what this world is about. So if it, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, make your relationships and make love and family and friendship and community the center of all of it, and make laughter the center of all of it. And for those of you that are living in Southern California or the Los Angeles area, if you're interested in coming to one of the community events that I put together, revolving around my music, my group that I'm in, Genghis Pierre, I'm gonna leave an opt-in form in the description, and that email opt-in will opt you into our bi-monthly newsletter for our music group. That's going to keep you updated with any events that are going on. So if you feel like you don't have a community, if you feel like you don't, you know, you've been desolate and isolated, go ahead, opt into that email form, and we'll keep you up to date with in-person events that are going on around the Southern California area. And who knows, we might be touring the country again soon. So we might be out with you. All right. Thank you guys so much. Remember, laugh, love, value your relationships. Peace out.